All right, get ready to dive deep, everyone, because today we are taking a closer look at Concord Enviro Systems Limited.
They're making some serious waves in the water treatment industry.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, even more interesting, they're about to go public with their IPO. You actually sent us a ton of documents on them.
Yeah.
Their draft prospectus,
hmm
some market analysis reports, even some legal agreements. So we've got a lot to dig into.
That's quite the stack.
It is. So we're going to see if this IPO is, maybe an investment worth diving into, so to speak.
Yeah, an IPO or initial public offering is basically it means anyone can buy shares and own a little piece of Concord Enviro.
Oh, okay.
And that prospectus you mentioned,
Yeah.
that's key. It's like their resume for investors laying everything out about their business.
So it's kind of like a treasure map, but instead of buried gold, we're looking for signs of a solid investment.
Exactly. It can be a little overwhelming, though, all those numbers. All that financial jargon. We're going to decipher it all for you, though. Don't worry.
Oh, good.
We'll break down their revenue, their profit margins, debt, all the things that tell us if this company's healthy and growing.
So, okay, we're going to find out if Concord Enviro is actually good at cleaning water, not just good at, making money.
Absolutely. That's where those market analysis reports come in. They paint the big picture of the whole water treatment industry.
Yeah.
And you know what? The demand for water treatment,
Wow.
it's booming. It's global. Population's growing, industries need more water, environmental regulations are getting tighter. Everyone's thirsty for clean water.
Literally.
Literally.
It's a huge market, right? But does Concord Enviro have what it takes to, really ride that wave?
Well, they're specialists in industrial wastewater treatment and reuse.
Okay.
Think about all the water used by factories.
Mm.
Manufacturing Concord Enviro helps clean that up and actually reuse it.
So they're not just cleaning water, they're like making it a resource.
Exactly. Minimizing that environmental impact.
Yep.
Maximizing resource recovery.
That's going to be good for the environment and the bottom line.
You got it. And they're leading the way with what's called zero liquid discharge technology.
Zero liquid discharge.
Yeah, like squeezing every last drop of clean water out of that industrial wastewater.
Wow.
A major advantage in a world, facing water scarcity.
Yeah, for sure. And the reports are saying that the industrial wastewater treatment market's going to reach almost $4 billion by 2029.
That's right, $4 billion.
That's a lot of potential.
Huge potential.
But you know what they say? Every hero has their rivals.
Oh.
So who are Concord Enviro's biggest competitors?
There are a few big players we got to watch. One is Trevani Engineering and Industries Limited. They're financially strong, really dominant, especially in India.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
What about, are there any other big names in this water treatment battle?
Oh, yeah. Definitely VA Tech Wabag. They're known for their expertise in desalination and water reuse projects all over the world.
Desalination. That's like turning seawater into fresh water, right?
Yep, that's it.
It's like sci-fi stuff.
It is pretty amazing.
So who else? Who else is out there?
We've got Ion Exchange, another big player in India, long history, solid market share.
Yeah.
And then Praj Industries, they're interesting. They focus on bio-based solutions for wastewater treatment.
Bio-based. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. And last but not least, we got Thermax. They're a big conglomerate involved in a bunch of different industries, water treatment being one of them.
So a lot of competition out there.
Well, yeah, it's a crowded market.
Okay, well, let's get back to Concord Enviro and their financials. Should we be excited or worried?
Well, let's take another peek at that prospectus. One thing that jumps out is that their top 10 customers make up a big chunk of their revenue.
Okay, and is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean,
Yeah.
having big, reliable clients, that sounds good, right?
It is good. It shows they can build those strong relationships with major players in the industry.
Right.
But
Right.
relying so heavily on just a few customers,
Oh,
it makes them vulnerable.
I see. Like if one of those contracts goes away?
Exactly. It could really impact their bottom line.
Okay, so it's a bit of a tightrope walk. What about their debt? Are they, drowning in loans?
Well, as of March 31st, 2024, they had about, 1,586.17 million in total borrowings and lease liabilities.
Okay, so some debt. Is that normal? Or is that a red flag?
Debt can be a tool,
Yeah.
for growth, especially for a company like Concord Enviro that's expanding, investing in new technology.
Right.
But it is something to keep an eye on. We need to figure out if those debt levels are manageable, if they're generating enough cash flow to pay it all back.
Yeah, we don't want them going under while trying to clean up the water so to
Yeah,
speak.
exactly. Now, one positive sign is their investment in research and development.
Oh, okay.
They spent 16.57 million on R&D in fiscal year 2024.
So they're not just sitting on their laurels. They're trying to stay ahead of the game,
Right. Shows a commitment to innovation, staying competitive.
which makes sense, especially in a fast-moving field like water treatment.
Absolutely got to keep innovating. But let's not forget those legal agreements you mentioned earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah, those. Are there any skeletons hiding in those documents?
Well, legal documents, they can be pretty revealing. They tell us about a company's past, their relationships, and any potential risks.
Juicy.
Yeah, a little bit. Shareholder agreements, those are particularly important.
Okay.
They outline how the company is structured, how decisions are made, who really has the power.
Give me an example. What's like a red flag in a shareholder agreement?
Well, if a small group of shareholders have way too much control,
Uh-oh.
that could be a problem. It's all about making sure the company is run fairly, transparently, with everyone's interests in mind.
Yeah, makes sense. So any other legal landmines we should be looking out for?
Financing arrangements are key. Gotta look at those loan details. The interest rates, repayment terms, any hidden clauses.
Sneaky.
Right. And then, of course, we gotta check for any past or ongoing lawsuits.
Oh, lawsuits.
Oh,
Those can be expensive and distracting, right?
big time.
Yeah.
And actually, we did find one pretty interesting case.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2019, a competitor, Rocum Separation Systems, sued Concord Enviro for trademark infringement.
Oh, wow. What happened?
Well, in December 2022, the High Court ruled in favor of Concord Enviro,
Okay.
but Rocum Separation Systems appealed that decision.
So it's still ongoing.
As of August 2024. Yeah, still going.
Wow. A real legal cliffhanger. What else did we find in those shareholder agreements? Anything else interesting?
Well, remember the Goal brothers, Preyas, and Prerac.
Yeah, the founders.
Right, as founders, they hold a big chunk of the company's shares, and those agreements give them some special rights, like appointing board directors.
So they still have a lot of influence, even after going public,
Exactly.
which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
They built the company, so they want to keep some control.
Yeah.
But is that always a good thing for other investors?
It's a trade-off, right? Their experience and vision could be valuable,
Sure.
but we need to make sure their interests align with everyone else's.
All right, got to make sure everyone's on the same page. So we've got this company. They've got innovative tech, a potentially huge market, but they've also got some serious competition and a few legal loose ends to tie up. What's next on our list?
Okay, so we've really been digging deep into Concord Enviro, like their financials, their legal stuff, competition, but now I think it's time to zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
Look at the bigger picture.
Get a wider view.
Exactly. What global trends could impact this IPO, you know?
Right, because a company doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? What's going on in the world that might affect them?
A lot, actually. You can't talk about water treatment without talking about, the global water crisis.
That's true. That's true.
Did you know over 2 billion people live in water-stressed countries?
Really?
Yeah, and that number it's only going up,
Right.
which means the demand for water treatment solutions
Going way up.
skyrocketing.
So Concord Enviro is in the right place at the right time, maybe.
Could be. But that increased demand, it also means more attention, more scrutiny.
Right, of course. What kind of regulations are we talking about here?
Governments are getting serious about water, In India, the Central Pollution Control Board, they set really strict rules for industrial wastewater discharge.
Mm-hmm.
And those rules, they're only getting stricter.
So Concord Enviro really has to be on top of their game.
Oh, yeah, technologically, legally, the whole 9 yards.
And what about, they've got that new facility in the UAE.
Right.
What's the regulatory landscape like over there?
The UAE they're all in on water sustainability,
Okay.
especially desalination.
Desalination, turning seawater into fresh water.
Exactly. They've got all these strict water conservation measures in place, and energy efficiency is like a huge focus.
Which luckily is one of Concord Enviro's strengths. Right?
Exactly. They're ahead of the curve there.
Okay, so we've got this thirsty world, government's cracking down, and it sounds like Concord Enviro is ready to handle it. But what about investors? Are they excited about water treatment? Or are they, I don't know, are they looking at something else?
Investors are catching on big time. There's this growing trend called ESG investing.
ESG.
What's that? It stands for environmental, social, and governance.
Okay, I get the E, I get the S, I get the G, but What does it all mean?
Basically, it means investors are looking beyond just profits, you know? They want to put their money where their values are.
Oh, okay. So it's like, I want my money to do good for the world, not just make me richer.
Exactly. So they're looking at companies that are good for the environment, good for society, and well-governed.
I like that. Does Concord Enviro fit into this whole ESG world?
Definitely hitting the environmental mark, you know? Cleaning wastewater, promoting reuse, minimizing their impact.
Right.
That's a big plus for ESG-focused investors.
So they're not just good for the planet, they're good for a portfolio too.
It's a win-win.
But, we got to be realistic here. Every investment has its risks. What are some of the potential downsides with Concord Enviro?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about their reliance on a small number of big customers.
Right. Yeah.
Losing even one of those could really hurt.
Yeah, that concentration of clients, it's a little risky. So any other red flags we should be thinking about?
Competition is fierce. You know, Triveni, VA Tech, Wowbag, all those other players, they're all fighting for market share.
Yeah, it's real battle royale out there.
It is what makes Concord Enviro stand out. That's the question, right?
Exactly. Why pick them over the competition?
There's zero liquid discharge technology. That's a huge advantage. It's cutting edge. They're known as leaders in that field.
Yeah.
And don't forget their commitment to R&D. They're constantly innovating.
Right. Trying to stay one step ahead.
Exactly. They were the first to market with that UHPRO technology, you know,
Yeah.
the one that drastically reduces energy consumption.
That's their secret weapon, right? Makes
Yeah.
them more sustainable and more cost-effective too. But I mean, their competitors are innovating too, right?
Oh, absolutely. This
Oh.
industry, it never stands still.
Yeah.
Companies that don't keep up, they fall behind, they
But
disappear.
it's survival of the fittest.
You-
Okay, so even if Concord Enviro has the best tech, they're in a growing market. There are still, things outside their control. What else could affect their success?
The global economy, that's a big one.
Yeah.
A major downturn. That could really reduce demand, even for, essential stuff like water treatment.
Makes sense. If budgets are tight, projects get put on hold.
Exactly. And then there's, geopolitics, always unpredictable. Conflicts, trade wars, political instability, any of that can throw a wrench in the works.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is. And even a company that's doing everything right can get caught in the crossfire.
True.
True.
Okay, so we've talked about Concord Enviro's financials, the global forces that might shape their future. What else is there to consider?
Well, we looked at the numbers, the market, the competition, even all that legal fine print.
We really have. It's been quite a journey.
It has, but at the end of the day, a company is only as good as the people running it.
Right, the leadership, the vision.
Yeah, exactly. So, in part 3, we're going to meet the team behind Concord Enviro and try to figure out if they have what it takes to lead this company to success.
Okay, so we've really gotten to know Concord Enviro, their financials, their market, their competition, even those legal battles.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But now I think it's time to meet the people in charge, the ones calling the shots.
A leadership team.
Exactly, because a company is only as good as its leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for a company about to go public, strong leadership it's essential.
Okay, so let's start at the top with the chairman and managing director, Prayas Goel.
Press go.
Yeah, one of the company's founders.
Right.
We saw his name a lot in those shareholder agreements.
He's got over 20 years of experience in the water treatment industry.
Wow.
He's been with Concord Enviro since the very beginning, built it up from scratch.
So he's seen it all, huh?
Yeah, the ups, the downs, the challenges, the victories.
That kind of experience, that's got to be invaluable, right?
Mhm.
Especially for navigating an IPO.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of experience, what about his brother, Pre-Rack Goal?
Pre-rack, right? He's the
Executive director.
executive director. Yeah, he joined the company in 2012, right? And he's been really key in expanding their operations, both in India and internationally.
Exactly. Global reach.
So 2 brothers leading a company, about to go public. You don't see that every day, It makes you wonder, is that family dynamic a good thing? Or, I don't know, maybe a liability?
That's a great question. And it's definitely something investors should think about. On the one hand, you have that shared history, that deep understanding of the business.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you got to make sure there are checks and balances, that decisions are being made for all the shareholders, not just the family.
Right, so it's about that balance between family vision and good corporate governance.
Exactly.
Okay, so who else is on this leadership team? Who else should we know about?
Well, we got to talk about Nandine Budhu. She's the chief financial officer, and she brings a ton of experience from the industrial sector.
Okay, she's the numbers person.
Yeah, the money guru. Before Concord Enviro, she held, top finance positions at a bunch of multinational companies.
Oh, wow. So she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she definitely has the know-how to, handle the financial complexities of an IPO.
Right. Got to make sure all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Exactly. Now, on the technology side, we've got Arun Kumar, the Chief Technology Officer.
Kumar, the CTO.
Yep, he's the brains behind their zero liquid discharge technology.
Okay, so he's the one making the magic happen.
You could say that he's got a PhD in chemical engineering and has spent his whole career, developing these cutting-edge water treatment solutions.
Impressive. So we've got industry veterans, finance wizards, and tech geniuses. What's your overall take on this leadership team? Do they have what it takes?
They definitely have the experience, the expertise, the passion, They seem like they're in it to win it.
That's good. That's good. But even with all that, there's got to be some risks, right?
Of course, there are always risks.
Okay, so what should investors be watching out for? What are the red flags?
Well, we talked about that concentration of power with the Gold family.
Right.
That's something to keep in mind. We got to make sure there's transparency, accountability at the top.
Makes sense. Decisions need to be made for all the shareholders, not just, a select few.
Exactly. Now, another thing to think about is their experience with, being a publicly traded company.
Oh, right. This is their first IPO.
It is Concord Enviro has been privately held up until now.
So going public, that's a big change, right?
A huge change.
Yeah.
More scrutiny, more pressure to perform, all these new regulations.
Do you think they're ready for all that?
Well, there's always a learning curve, right? But they've been working hard to prepare for this IPO, and they've put together a strong team of advisors to help them through it.
So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But, that's the exciting part, right? Seeing how it all plays out.
It is. It is. And that's what the deep dive is all about, giving our listeners the information they need to understand this complex world of business and finance.
We've given you the tools, the insights. You make the call.
Exactly. We've laid it all out, the potential rewards, the potential risks. Now it's up to you, our listener, to decide.
Informed decisions, that's what we're all about.
So will Concord Enviro ride that wave of the water treatment boom? Or will they get, swept under by the competition?
It's a nail biter for sure.
It is. It is. We'll be watching closely to see what happens.
And that's going to do it for this deep dive into Concord Enviro Systems Limited.
A huge thank you to you, our listener, for sending us this fascinating stack of documents. It's been a real pleasure diving into this with you.
We love exploring these topics that are relevant to you, to your life, to your decisions.
So join us next time for another deep dive into a new and exciting topic.
Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those questions coming.